Okay. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
I guess I'm chairing the meeting today since Greg is not able to be with us, so let's get started. We have a group here on our first item for discussion, as we call the meeting to order, is with the,
It's not a meeting though, just
Work group.
just a correction, it's just work group.
our work group
Yeah.
meeting. We are meeting as a work group together is to talk about the historic jail. So we have that discussion, your group, that you want to come forward and,
You could all come up if you'd like.
Sit in each other's lap? No, you can bring your chair
Bring it.
too.
there's more chairs, yeah, whatever you want to do. As many of you that want to come up. We don't try to limit it to two if there's
Oh, you
others.
could
There's
come
just
up here,
two
you're a
mics.
good, good speaker. Yeah, you could come up here.
I can be the second row.
Okay,
Oh, there you go. Backup, like backup singers, you know.
Backup singers, yeah.
The second.
Doo-wops.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway.
Get right in here.
Great, thank you for being here.
Scary.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about your group and introductions too? That would be really helpful. Just tell us who you are.
Introductions. Go ahead.
I'm Janine Hush. I'm the president of the Houston County Historical Society. Diane Schultz is a member of our Friends for the Jail. Paul Wisty she's from Caledonia. Paul Wisty's from Houston. He's on our Houston County Board. Deb Ray is on our Houston County Board in Caledonia. And Richard Cordes is a extremely interested person from Brownsville.
Interesting or interested? Both, right?
We are all.
I've never heard Richard
Yeah,
introduce that way. I've never heard you introduce that way. I like it. That's gonna spur a few things for us.
Great, thank you. You want to talk a little bit about,
Interesting
Deb
guy.
has
Richard,
kind of
the
been
interesting
chairing
guy.
our group, so I'm gonna let her start it off.
okay?
Well, first, I'd like to say that we've got, probably about 20 people that have been meeting, so it's not just us. It's hard to get everybody together. And we've appreciated Allison coming and kind of giving us some advice too. So our group just kind of started out of concern for the historic property in the jail and wanting to help figure out a use for it, a reuse for it. I know it's been empty for a while. I guess we have some goals, and if I could read those, I would. Preserve the historic building to pass on to future generations. Collaborate to promote county pride and draw other people and businesses to the area. Residents have experienced an interest in historical buildings and have invested in the preservation of their own properties. The preservation of historical county buildings add value to this. Meet a need in the community/county and design the facility to be easily adaptable for multiple uses. And create a financially sustainable business plan that will be an investment for the long term. The insurance money left from the flood will be very important for startup money. We would operate under the Houston County Historical Society 501c3 status. So that's kind of our goals, and we're mostly coming here to find out what the board is, what your thoughts are and what you're willing to go with as far as solutions. And so I guess that's kind of where we'd like to start. Rich, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So, I guess my thoughts are that this meeting should have probably taken place 20-some years ago, before the Justice Center was built. And I think at the time, maybe nobody really wanted to deal with that, and probably safe to say that.
it should have been dealt with when they completed the new Justice Center.
Exactly, yeah. So it's been a long time waiting. Me as a concerned citizen of the county and someone that really thinks historic structures and things are very important, and actually going into the future, we don't know, we don't have crystal balls, but, you know, at some point that building could be very important to tourism and stuff. So I think what we'll start out with today, on my part, if you're in agreement with that, is just we did have that study that was done. There was a lot of money spent, and then there was nothing really went forward after that study was done. That was a reuse study, and they came up with 3 possible things, and, you know, us looking at that, we're not gonna hold ourselves to any one of those 3. We'll go from there and kind of start thinking out of the box. I think what we as a group, and everybody can chime in or correct me or whatever, that we don't want this to be a burden on the taxpayers. So we're gonna try everything possible to try and figure out how we want to make this palatable and actually do some PR work with, because I know there's people out there who just like to see an old building tore down. It's just, it's been sitting there a long time and stuff. And it's just too good of a building to be tore down. Structurally, I think it's pretty good shape. I don't know where we're at on the roof part. I guess we'll have to look at that next. But so that's why we wanted to talk to you. And I think you have in your packets, you got an agreement that was done by El-McKee County.
Yeah.
And I had contacted the judge down in El-McKee County because he was instrumental in writing up that agreement. And that is not to say that that's anything that we're gonna go by, but it's just one other possibility. Because we're in such a unique situation here, we got it's on the campus of the county here. So, you know, there's things you can and can't do, and we sure want to work along with the board and stuff. Anything that we do as far as reuse goes, that everybody's in agreement that it's gonna be all right. So, that going forward, you know, we can discuss any of that today. I don't know how much time we got here this morning.
We got some time here.
Okay, so, and then get some of your ideas, how your feelings are on it. Because it's gonna be a little bit complicated to get all the details worked out. So with that, I'll turn it back.
Rich, what do you, tell me some ideas what you'd like to see done with it.
Okay, so one of the things we did is we actually, a few of us from the society went over to Wisconsin. There's an old jail over there that was converted into a museum. So we went over there, took pictures, took notes on what they did and how they dealt with their county as getting that assigned. And
It was a residence also for the sheriff.
right, just like ours
Yeah.
is, yeah, so it's very similar. But they did a large part of their, was on military, which we thought would tie in beautifully with the monument out here for our veterans. And then, you know, I wouldn't mind seeing something for law enforcement, a little bit of a way to honor them, you know, the past of our law enforcement people. So just bringing that up for you guys.
What county was that?
Pardon?
What county was that jail in? Or where?
It's in central Wisconsin.
Yeah.
It was a couple
I can
We
get
can
you.
find it. That's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
I'm just
I'll
curious.
Get that information for you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So, so that was one of the things we were looking at. I went to Preston to the jail that was there that was turned into a bed and breakfast. A beautiful, beautiful facility. And they get, a lot of people love to stay in jail cells. Unlike, you know,
Willingly.
what we've
You
been
mean when they're
accustomed to.
willing, yes.
We have a new jail that we could probably use that for.
I didn't say that.
Well, I was just gonna say, I know some people that don't like to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, they can walk in and out. It's a little different.
Well,
yeah, it's a little
I just
different.
I just wanted to say something too, because we've been talking a lot about this.
Yes.
Since I've been commissioner, and and we looked into it here a couple, 3 years ago about a possibility of a lease and or whatever, and I'm still would like to see that. Being you're the 501c3, that you could be leasing it from us to do something like a museum or a visiting center, all of that kind of
Yeah.
thing. I think what my thoughts are is that we don't wanna use we don't wanna use levy dollars to fix it all up. If you could get donations,
Grants.
we could use the insurance money to help match some of them grants or whatever to do the fixing up of it, to get it so people can visit in it and look at it and all that. That's my thought on it as far as a county board, but we would like to see you guys take it over and do something with it.
Yeah.
You know, and we would help maintain it. We maintain it now. We heat it, we pay the utilities, whatever, and do stuff like that. I noticed that was in the contract with
Yeah.
McKee. Yep.
Yep. And we can tweak that however it works for us.
Right.
But yeah, and that's a good thing because like the grounds and stuff, it's all connected. The mower's gonna go past it
Yep.
anyhow, so.
And as far as any future use as a county for us to use it, like, I know it was brought up
Yeah.
as office space possibility sometime.
Yeah.
I don't think we see that as a use for us in the future, given what's gonna happen maybe in the human services side, that if the states start taking over some of the responsibilities, that
Oh,
we wouldn't have the need for more office space, more workers or whatever, so. Our goal has always been to get everybody on one campus and to get them in this building here. And so, that's
yeah.
what our vision has been.
Sure.
And the thing is, if we try to make that into a county usable space, all the rules and regulations we'd have to go through to do that, it would be tremendously expensive. So that's why we've backed off of that.
And
Whereas if you guys were to use it as an historical building for historical purposes, display or whatever, I think, that would be more doable.
yeah. Yeah, and I guess what we were thinking too, that you folks have enough on your plates that you don't need to be running a rental unit over there.
Right,
We could probably be like the property managers for sort of, we can.
Maintain it.
Yeah, we can keep an eye on the HVAC and all that stuff and bring suggestions to you folks as we go forward. But handle some of that tedious stuff that goes along, if that was set aside. There was a lot of talk about the library at one time.
Yeah.
So, Caledonia Library that was part of that study,
Yeah.
I guess, that they
Right.
looked at,
Yep.
making that feasible.
Now that the city's in a different place with that.
Yeah, I mean, they looked like it was going forward in one direction and now it's kind of backed off. So that's not off the table yet either. So
Yeah.
I think
Maybe we
it's
could
all.
get Chuck to put something towards it, or.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, the ideas that the group has kind of been talking about as we maybe is county offices, because that just seems the most logical. Caledonia City Library, County Visitor Center, History Room featuring military and law enforcement, driftless geology, stone quarries, and then permanent meeting room space for organizations and so on, because we know of some organizations that would just like to have their own room, and, so that's another thing. And just a note about the grants, I mean, you can get grants, but they have to know that we're very serious, that we're gonna follow through. And so that's something that we have to really show that the county's behind it and that we have a working model that can work, basically. So they aren't gonna award a grant to maybe this will happen, and maybe that will happen.
And the more specific you can be with that, I think is better as well, because then you have an actual either fundraising or purpose in renovating that and then what it's for. A nonprofit is going to be much more successful at gaining that and getting a grant than the county would be for our purposes, for use for county space or offices. It's also my concern, of course, I'm very interested in the historic preservation, of the building. I think it's a great structure, at least on the outside. There's always some issues structurally and also just the maintenance of what's there. So for the purposes of flexible space, of, looking at what could possibly be in there, I would like to see someone else like yourselves come in and help with that rather than have the county have the burden or maintain the burden of coming up with that plan and then, being the, or have it be a tenant space that we would want to manage. That's not what the county is in the business to do, even though it's on our area or in our area. But if we could showcase some of the areas that you're talking about, like military law enforcement, working space, that's more flexible and it wouldn't even have to be used day to day, as far as I'm concerned, or all, 24/7. That would make a difference too in the HVAC systems and different things that you would have to have for that. Liability is a huge issue with a building like that for the county to take on. So the different purposes that if you could come up with, some repurposing for that, that would also allow some flexibility in what you need to have. And I'm talking about working elevator, some things like that are restrictions that you would have to work into the plan structurally. So, yeah, I think it's a great idea. I'd like to know, more about the purpose. And you said that now the study came up with three aims as far as that goes.
Yeah,
What were
yeah.
those three?
We have the
areas.
actual floor plans that they did, so they should be around somewhere, the commissioners, but it was a county office, city library, and a brewery.
Oh, okay.
So they kind of showcased the different things. and
Very
they have-
specific.
Yeah, and they came up with floor plans.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a nice start.
Well, back then, I remember all that.
Yeah.
It was gonna be 3.7 million to do that. And
Yeah.
it's been over 10 years ago now, I believe.
I'm sure the prices have gone down.
But at that time, there were, like you say, grants available, and we were plugged into that group that was helping us. So, we need to reestablish the relationship with it, We aren't gonna be able to write grants ourselves. I mean, they're, especially legacy grants, they're very technical, so I think we will need help. There are groups that know how to, know people and know what they need and all that, so it's.
So as a
bad, but-
historical society, there is people that you can find to help you write grants or?
Well, this collaborative design group that worked on this study,
That was the county hired those people.
yeah.
Right.
Well, it was through a grant, though, that test.
We got a grant to do that.
Yeah, it was like 70-some thousand to do it. So, there are groups that work on that type of thing, so.
It might be interesting to know, to have not have it wide open, to kind of narrow it down to
Right.
what some of
A
the needs would
specific,
be.
yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
because I think you might have better luck, with different agencies and then grant.
My concern with going with collaborative, they're gonna come up with this grand,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so, like Cindy said, if you could come up with a plan for something, start out small. I mean, do something on the main floor. What can we do here?
Yeah.
An entrance part or whatever.
Well, I
And do it in phases and pieces as you go.
I remember meeting with that group, and they took their ideas from the group that met with them. So I think if you tell them you want to do it in pieces,
Yes.
or we want to have a facility that can be adaptive to whatever, I think they would work with that. But I'm not saying that's the only group you have to work with. I'm just using that as an example that, they were the ones that met with community members. They went out in the county and met different communities in the county too. So it was a pretty extensive study that they did to find out.
Just if you narrow it down, to 2 or 3 ideas or what you want to the purpose of it and what you'd like to see there, maybe you could look at, more of a feasibility study. What would it take to do that? Also with sectioning it off, like use the first floor first, in 5 years and then build up to the second floor, or I don't know, just however you would need to do that. It might be easier to do it in sections. I know a lot of times organizations and groups will look at it, the whole project, and it's multi-million dollars, it takes forever,
Yeah.
that's just, my thoughts on
Your
it.
chances of getting those grants are slim to none.
Yep.
And when you start asking for big bucks.
Yeah,
So, yeah, if we can chew at it in chunks, I'm all for that. Yeah.
So, as far as grant writing, we have someone here, Allison, who
Allison.
does grant writing. So,
That's what I was
do you have
hoping.
any input on this, Allison? What your, as far
Yeah,
as
so
grants?
I've been participating in the group, just started. And I'm happy to help with that. A lot of times, some of the grants you can apply to will then get you some money to work with the experts that, an expert like Deb is referring to. We've done that with the Happy House in Houston. So that's definitely a possibility. And I think before going after any grants, yes, there needs to be a set plan and there needs to be quite a bit of fundraising done because that grant is gonna wanna be the gap to get you over the final hump. So, you'd wanna start with the for sure plan, start fundraising for that, and then go after the grant dollars is my opinion.
Sounds good.
another idea is if you're interested in, like, military museum, law enforcement, talk to those associations, and see how others have worked through that. It's just an idea because you don't have to reinvent it then, that process, and they might know what's accessible or those experts that have done that type of thing before.
When we did the fundraising for the museum. Whole lot of people in the county, very good. A lot of them,
I think the key is to know that the county is behind it, that we don't have dissenting voices and.
Step one.
Yeah, we need to be a unified front there to do that.
What is everybody, Bob, any thoughts?
We kind of talked about this here, what, 2 years ago, you guys came forward? I know we had a couple of hurdles that we needed to get through on, number one, what we could do and couldn't do, and try getting our county attorney's help a little bit on that. Did that go anywhere from just discussion from the two committees?
That was
I
before.
don't remember
Prior,
seeing anything
yeah.
more come. So I mean, all these sound like great ideas, but we gotta, probably have that hurdle
Yep.
jumped first. And I think that's the important one, is the liability to the county, and then, the backing of the community with it, so. And I think you've got the backing, we just gotta get through
Sure.
the contract part.
To the nuts and bolts. And that brings up a point, if we had a contact person with the county board that would be working on more closely, because I'm curious, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, the county is part of the League of County things as
Association.
far as
Association of Minnesota
insurance and
Counties,
stuff
yeah.
goes. Would we have a better, a more reasonable pricing of liability and stuff if we were tagged on to?
Oh, MCIT?
Yeah.
I know, that's the kind of stuff that Sam was looking at.
Yes, yeah.
And Sue, did Sam leave notes on this? Would you know?
I would have to check, I'm not aware of it.
That would be something if you could find out if he left his, notes and briefs of
You don't have to
his-
start over.
Right, it'd be easier not have to start over, to go and look at that.
Yeah, because he had some ideas, and I was really pleased that he was very much involved. I
Well,
met with
he
him
looked
on a
into
number
it
of
quite a
times.
bit, yep.
Yes, and he also brought up about the insurance money that's in the savings account too, that, possibly going forward, as we do a project, we could draw off of that money, with board approval and things like that.
Oh, I'd have to go look at my paperwork too. It's been a couple years.
Yeah.
It must have been a couple years, because
It was
I
before,
think it was before you guys
on the
got on.
board.
because I don't remember any
Yeah.
of that conversation.
But Bob was here and Greg was here. But yeah, I think Bob Burns was involved in too.
I believe so.
Yep. So, yeah, it's been a couple years.
So just some scenarios going through my head. So if it would be something that we manage and it's leased out, so the money would go into this fund that you're talking about? Is that something that, I mean, what are your ideas on that?
I think the Historical Society, it would need to come to you and go in a specific fund because you are the nonprofit. And when people are giving to you, they'd want the tax write-off, and that would probably be, I think, the best.
For fundraising.
Right.
But you're talking about the current, the insurance funds.
The insurance money is
yeah.
what you were referring
Well,
to?
Yeah.
and would we have the ability to lease it out? Because we're leasing it from you, so could we release?
Subleaser.
Yeah,
Sublease.
There you
Yeah, I don't know if all that
Yeah.
So
legally
what scenario,
goes. I don't
what
know.
scenario would you see where you as a historical society would lease it out to something?
That would be one of
The city library,
The
Oh,
city
okay.
library would
Is
be one,
one?
another one would
Yeah,
be a club.
Or a club
We've
that
had
would-
one club that has been not
Interest.
interested in that particular place, but has been working with us to try and find them a meeting room and stuff. So,
permanent spot,
yeah,
yeah.
a permanent place for their
Okay,
meetings and stuff. So that's the kind of stuff.
yeah, we,
I think the brewery idea is out because there are some state statutes about a justice center so many
Oh,
feet away
Right.
from,
yeah,
so I mean,
have to get
pretty much
state-
you
Too
could
close.
veer right through.
Yeah.
So,
A little close.
you'd
Call
have to
that
get.
how
snooze
fitting to
and
have
booze.
an old jail as a brewery.
yeah, well, I thought it would be cool,
Oh, boy.
Call it Snooze and booze.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, yeah.
This is a grand idea.
I was all aboard, but
So where do you, what you're asking us, that are here today, as far as, what, if we can, give you the go-ahead more so to explore this, because we really don't have any definite plan yet.
Right, yeah, right.
exactly.
Yeah, we,
That's the
we,
whole purpose of this.
we
yes.
have all these questions that come up and we don't know,
Yep.
well, is this gonna work?
And-
Yeah.
And then if we have someone that we can contact to
Yeah,
short
yeah,
circuit this, coming to every board meeting and stuff, we can actually have an inner working with them and then he can toss it, or he or she can toss it around to everybody else as time goes on, but it's just nice to have a contact person that we, we're comfortable meeting with and can
Well, we
get
could
a
have
hold
a,
I was gonna say, I can offer to be that liaison since I'm gonna start coming to the meetings. Then I can report
Perfect.
back to all of you and we can decide when it's appropriate
I'd
for
be
you to
really
come.
okay with that.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
That would be good, and then we also, from Sue, from the legal perspective, if we have anything that we can get,
yeah, I would
yes.
ask Sue if you could go back and see if you can find some of Sam's old notes on this and hopefully he left something.
And I'll send you the contract that they shared with me. That is an example of what was used in Iowa. Just so you have an idea of
And
what was
Sam
done
did have a
elsewhere.
copy of that as well, but that, who knows where that's at now.
Is there a cou-
Go ahead.
Other things as far as the structure, I just want to get answered in my head. So, for example, with the city library thing, the plan called for taking out the cells. So that would just be a open space where they'd have the stacks. So that's something to think about, because that would really affect the
That's a big
structure
deal.
of it, and.
Yeah.
And if you would.
If you think about it though, if it, as a library, how cool, I mean, just throwing out, if it was a library, how cool would it be to go sit in a cell and read?
They could even take the doors off, so, it's not.
Yeah, so nobody locks
The idea of
themselves.
Or maybe not one.
I think structurally though, taking out the cells
that would be a big deal.
Well, it's.
Supposedly, yeah.
They aren't part of the structure. I think they've
Supposedly,
figured
that's
that
the
out.
study
Yeah.
that was done, that they're not part of the integrity of the building.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That
It's
they-
just-
I thought they were. but-
Yep, and I had heard both stories. So
Right.
I'm
But
not,
I think
It
they
just could be very costly, because those are heavy material, you know, it's different than a wall,
scrap metal.
yeah.
price of iron's going up every day.
Believe them. At least
Yeah,
some of
yeah,
them.
that might
Yeah,
be part
yeah,
of the
reason
design.
that they took it out was that they needed that room for the stacks where they keep all the.
There's not a lot of other walls that you have to worry about in some of the areas, it's kind of,
And then also with, if it was a library, I mean, that would have to be a long-term lease. I mean, they aren't gonna wanna do library stuff there and then 25 years
We
down
would
the road. maybe.
Probably want to do something like we do with the county fair grounds. We do a 50-year lease or something like that.
that's what that contract.
Yep, and
Example
when I
happened.
talked to the judge, there was a reason why he went with 50. They were talking about a 100-year lease, and I can't just think off the top of my head why he settled on 50. He thought that was more prudent going forward, and I could touch base with him again and find out.
Did they have 100-year and then they added this other building, so then they made it a 50? So
Yeah, I
maybe they'd
think
already
that's
gone
kind of
through.
how it went,
Yeah.
yeah.
Was that Judge Bauer Camper that did that?
He's kind of head of the.
He's
Starbucks, like-
retired now, but he was the judge there for a long, long time.
I bet it probably is.
Yeah, and he's very historic minded,
Yeah,
he's
part of the.
chaired up this whole thing and wrote the document and everything, so, yeah.
One other thing, what's the condition of the roof? We've had different people tell us different things. Do you guys know, like, how
Has it
much
been
life
looked
is in
at?
it?
Yeah.
It seems like it was looked at some point, but I don't.
Did you guys get to that when you were talking a couple years ago?
Don't recall, do you?
We didn't get that far in looking into the condition of the roof. I'm sure it needs repair. I guess that probably would be one of the first things you'd want to check out is a roof.
Yeah, everything else is probably,
Yeah,
And I can get a hold of Brian, our county engineer,
okay.
and kind of, he's in charge of the maintenance and facilities, so he may know what condition that is, and I can let Allison know, and
Probably needs an inspection,
yep, she
Oh,
can kind of.
currently too, because it's been a few years since
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great, yeah.
so that's something we could look at is have it inspected and checked out. Now, if you wanted to keep it historical, that's where it would be, if you try to apply for a grant to do that. Or if you just wanted to repair it the way it's, I guess, what are you, as a historic, would you like to preserve it as you'd want to do it the historical way, or would you just want to do it to the get it fixed way?
Okay, so this is my thought on that, if I could.
Okay.
And, I've talked with the State Historical Society on preservation and stuff. The fact that it's on the National Registry, there's certain do's and don'ts. But when they were here and met with the county commissioners that time, it was brought up then that they consider the historic importance of that building is the outside appearance.
Not the
Inside has been, changed over and over. It's been sheriff's offices and everything over the years. So I think it's pretty much a freewheeling as far as the interior goes. And the other thing they said as far as doing like more modern materials and stuff compared to trying to go back to the way it was, anything that's out of sight of the public is up for discussion, like that roof. Nobody's gonna be climbing around up there looking at that, so we could change materials and stuff up there to match our needs. So that would not deter from that National Registry status.
I know, because I have a
Yeah.
National
Yes,
Registered house,
exactly.
and anytime you have to maintain the outside, whether it's, it just has to maintain the significance. Like in my house, it's the top of the cupola, but it has new shingles on
Yeah,
it, because
yeah, exactly.
you can't get
From the ground, you
a
can't.
material that was 200 years old or whatever, so.
And Sorry, keep
Go
going.
ahead.
If you get a grant, they're gonna have to run it through SHPO, and then the SHPO reviewer is gonna tell you what you can and can't do at that time, and it is a bit subjective, so just be aware of that.
So anyway, but to maintain the structural integrity of it, that's fine. The inside, on the outside, the exterior is really all that's counted with that.
Well, we did the roof here on this building.
Yeah, same thing.
We didn't get an historic grant for it, I don't believe.
Not a grant.
Tess, I know, was trying to research what the original thing was, and I think we came up with that it was wood shakes that were painted. The only reference we could find in the newspaper was they painted the shingles today when they were building it. So
A lot
that
of
isn't
the,
logical
yeah,
to do.
the
So-
materials would be cost prohibitive.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
to do that, no.
But what I'm saying is that go ahead.
If you don't get a grant, you can basically do what you want, and it's still gonna be on the registry.
That's,
If you get a historic grant, it is gonna need to run through SHPO, and the reviewer at SHPO will tell you what you can and can't do. And it is a bit subjective, because I worked on a grant in downtown Caledonia, we worked on a lot of historic buildings, we did roofs. It depended on who was reviewing each roof. They would let us know what we could and couldn't do, what materials we needed to use, et cetera. So it,
A lot of times if you change the structure, somehow too, and probably not gonna be an issue, to add on.
yeah, you definitely can't, like, if it's a gable roof, you're not gonna change the type of roof that it is. But typically, if you get a historic grant, like the ones that we're talking, you have to then send the project to SHPO, the State Historic Preservation Office, and someone reviews it, and then they write back and say, these are the materials you can use, here's the type of, roof that you could use, and they give you specific examples, and then you choose from those. And some of the reviewers in my experience are more lenient than others. But if you just wanted to do a capital campaign, fundraise, do your own research, and decide what is closest to the historical way, then yes, you could just do whatever you wanted. So
right, so,
that's how it works.
so we could fix the roof.
Yeah.
We just wouldn't go through that historical grant route.
There's monies from the insurance, right?
Right,
Yeah.
I mean, we.
And that's
we
what
could-
they're asking about too.
The contractor that did this roof, he'd be interested in maybe looking at it and giving us a quote.
Idea of what it's gonna cost.
Yeah.
Right, so we have an idea.
We'd like to
Maybe it
know.
doesn't need to be replaced.
Right, right. I know the last time I was through there, the back entry coming up them steps, I think it leaks back there,
Oh, okay.
but
With the plan that they had drawn up for the library, they changed the main entrance to the library to the north side, which is originally what was the main entrance to the residence. And then the side door, which is what you go up now, was for county access, because upstairs they had the EDA offices. So there would be, you'd want to do it to the historical example if you did that, changed it to that entrance again.
Perfect. I do also want to point out too, the insurance money, the amount that's in there, this is information I got from Carol, I think it was February. It's $571,367 is what is in there now for historic jail.
And is that designated to be used for anything in particular?
it's just sitting in a general fund, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
Carol?
For whatever the board designates.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
okay,
some of it was already used. So we.
okay. So maybe the first steps are to just figure out what it is that you're thinking of and how you would want to approach that, and then also just get the roof looked at. Anything else or structure? You might, depending on what you want it used for, is probably going to be, key to what would need to be repaired. I mean, the roof, yes, is kind of a given, I would say, but other that internally, you know, internal structure is gonna be different.
I guess I'd like to have you tell us if that money would be secured for the use of the old jail, and that it's not gonna eventually be spent on something else, and we wouldn't have that reserved for repairs or improvements at the jail.
The way I see it, that's not taxpayer levy dollars, so it's an insurance dollar. I think that's something we could set aside from here on out to look into doing something.
Yeah, that would help with the plans, yeah. And then we have to talk to the city to see if that's, library is anything that they'd be, but then from there, I would think it's more kind of a multi-use thing. It sounds like ideas that, you know, different,
Some historical.
some
maybe
historical, some tourism.
tourism, some private or fund.
Yeah,
money
private,
making.
yeah. So,
It'd be great to hear if you guys want to.
So maybe what we should do as a board is to have somebody look at that roof
Yeah.
yes, that'd be great.
Start that side of it anyway.
and go for that.
See what it's gonna take.
Yep.
I don't know if there's any,
I would
the
agree.
outside looked pretty good as far as tuck pointing and anything like that. That would need to be done to the stone structure, but the inside is the issue.
Well, it was a shame that it was flooded.
Oh, yeah.
It is, and you can look at that two ways. What
Yeah.
did come from that is that all the asbestos has been abated,
Yep.
and.
Well, because it had to be cleaned out. yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we don't have to, you know, that's a huge expense in
Yeah.
itself, if you're
Yeah.
gonna
It would
do
still
that.
have to be
So
done.
that's a big thing, and it's basically a blank slate inside
Yeah.
now, whereas all that is taken care of.
A lot of room for activities.
Yeah, it's got its good and bad things, yeah, we hated that it got flooded like it did,
Yeah.
It's an interesting building.
but some good came out of
Yeah.
that too.
I'm-
Yeah, the asbestos part, if it wasn't flooded, I mean, it could have stayed. I mean, that's
Yeah.
fine if you don't
Yes.
touch it.
Touch
Yep.
it, yeah.
Don't disturb it.
If you don't disturb it, it's fine, so.
Yep.
yep.
Well, I remember about that time that these groups are working, you know, they said it's a structure that can stand there for another 100 years. So structurally, you know, it's sound. And they said the value at that time, empty as it is now, is 3.1 million. So it's an asset for our county, and you know, we need to stress that to the communities that, you know, to preserve that valuable asset.
I think it'd be great if it could be used for a specific purpose or several, you know, different type of activities. That'd be excellent, rather than just have it be a shell.
Yeah,
You're right,
yeah.
yep.
Yeah, and as a 501c3, we are an all-volunteer society, so you have to understand too that.
We're trying to
We're-
redo our church, we need
Yeah,
to
yeah,
redo
we have, our
log
church
houses.
is needing repair right now, our log house needs repair, so we have some expenses coming up also. So if that insurance money could be secured, that would make us feel a little bit more settled, I guess, that if we do take on this project, that we would have funds available to start something.
The other thing I would mention with that fund that we have currently, though, if there's ongoing maintenance for that building, when we lease it, I would consider that, because that would be out of our operational cost for the county. So maybe we just need an estimate of, you know, what needs to be done, if there's a better roof, if there's, you know, I don't know what the HVAC system looks like. There's boilers in there and all that, that might be working, might not. I'm just throwing it out there for consideration, because that would be extra cost for the county to maintain that.
We heat it. in the wintertime,
Operationally.
so I think that-
Currently
Yeah.
do. I mean, it'd
It's
probably be
minimal, yeah.
better. It'd be better if there was walls and it was occupied on the inside, you know, it'd be more cost effective to run.
An occupied structure is gonna last a lot longer than an
Yep.
empty structure.
Definitely.
It just goes, and, you know, I don't know to what status we are now. At one time, the two buildings, the courthouse and the jail, were actually connected as far as some of the heating and stuff went. Has that been changed now?
As far as the what?
The heating and stuff used to go between the two buildings
I
underground.
think it's separate now.
Yeah, because I think all there
It's
is,
really just a space.
Yeah, it's just a furnace.
standalone Furnace that's over there now.
Yep.
I mean, if it was connected to the boiler system again, it is still connected.
Oh, okay,
Assuming that in renovation.
you would change, yep,
okay.
yes.
So it could be self-sustaining.
Right, and as far as right now, there's just a temporary little furnace in there or something to keep the humidity down is what my guess is. So, yeah, and HVAC, that's one of the things that the State Historical Society always did. Those grants were looked at fairly nicely.
Good.
Because that was a mechanical thing and it made a big impact. So the legacy grants, in the past at least, were pretty receptive to that. And that would need a major HVAC, once we know what's going in where, because that's all part of that mechanical part. But it's exciting what could happen. I say as a group here, this is quite an undertaking. There's going to be a lot of energy expelled on this. It isn't like we got nothing else to do either, but that just speaks to the fact how important we think this is.
And it would benefit the whole county, because to come to see it, we've had people, like even at the fair, a couple I remember stopped and they said, oh, we've been around town and we are so glad that you have your historic courthouse yet, because they've gone around to communities around Minnesota to see the historic courthouses. So it does draw people, and to get to Caledonia, you gotta go through La Crescent, you have to go through Houston, Spring Grove, so it brings it to the whole county. It brings people to visit the whole
The other
county.
thing, our committee does consist of people from throughout the county. We have pulled in people from Ice and Spring Grove.
Great.
So we have a good cross-section of people, so it doesn't appear like it's Caledonia. Because a lot of times people get that view that, oh, it's in Caledonia, so
Yeah.
you're responsible for it. But I think we do have a good cross-section of people now on the committee, so that helps a lot.
It's great.
Just listening to the ideas here, and I'm just saying this out loud, but I could see where the city library, that could get complicated.
Extremely.
That's why we,
And so I'm not saying I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm just saying it can be a little complicated. I would like to myself see something like a museum, visiting center, a meeting room or something like that.
Military and law enforcement.
Right,
Museum would be really, really,
Yep.
Good idea, yeah.
really fascinating for
Yep.
me. I would really
Something
like
that's
to
a
see that.
draw for the public too, you
Right,
know?
right.
Actually, that would help us out a lot because we're running out of room at the historic.
I know that, yeah, so this could be it could be
go.
more storage space for you.
Display,
Cause you guys turn away stuff now, right? Cause you don't
Oh,
have, yeah.
specific displays, that'd be
And if you
great.
could have more storage room for some of this stuff, that'd be great.
Well, it just gets more complicated when you have more collaboration between the different, like, city and, and also the needs for the library. The public access needs are very different for library too than
Look at a
museum.
military style law enforcement museum with a visitor center, some meeting rooms that you could sublease out. It's a visitor center, you're gonna stop and you're gonna wanna look, just the history of military and military service in Houston County and things that people don't know or people that were there would be huge.
And volunteers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need volunteers to help man it.
Picking up.
You could give them
I'm
the
closer to
tour.
retirement, not
Well,
that good.
see, volunteer, there you go.
What's retirement?
Here you are.
Not getting up at 3:00 in the morning.
Says the old gray-haired guy.
So anything else that, can we agree that this is, the direction that we're going in? We've got inspections on this side and talk about the financial aspect of it. And then you guys work on there's going to be some commitment of dollars, I'm sure. Definitely.
And we'll have Sue look and see what she
And
can
the
find.
legal.
Yep. And we should have somebody look at the roof.
Yep. I'll talk to Brian to start, organizing that.
It makes sense, and also for the 501c purposes, to make or to have a lease, though, or to have some kind of, operational designation for somebody else to be.
Especially for fundraising, so
Yep.
people
Yeah,
can
so
use
we
you
have-
guys as a 501c to give donations.
So we have a permanence feeling.
Now, would
yeah.
your insurance company be involved in assessing your roof condition? At all?
Probably.
MCIT?
MCIT,
Might.
Yeah,
Brian would be able to.
yeah. We'll have the engineer check that out. I'm sure there's part of that.
they were involved,
The insurance company said, you're gonna need a new roof in 2 years.
Oh,
Who said that?
there you go.
My insurance company.
Hopefully not at the museum, they're 50 years
No,
old.
not at the museum.
Okay, are we good? And then you'll come back to us when you're ready to have more presentation or information, and then we'll,
We've actually learned a few things, the status of the roof and that sort of stuff.
And the
Yeah.
monies,
Then we'll have
yep.
a more productive meeting next time.
Yep, yep.
Maybe have a few more ideas which direction we're going on this.
and we can provide.
Thank you all
Thank
so
you.
very, very
Yeah.
much.
oh, feel free to contact us too if you have any questions.
And Allison
And
will work
Allison will
with
be
you.
yep.
Okay, yep, perfect.
Yeah, thanks, Alice.
Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a great day.
You too.
Okay, oops. All right, moving on. Item 2, we have our discussion of our strategic plan.
Yeah,
And you have
so,
something here?
so kind of left for you on the table was, outline of a strategic plan. If you don't have one, you can't find one. So we kind of discussed about strategic plans. Thiessen County doesn't have one. One of the things of a strategic plan is, it's kind of a lot like the land use plan of what do we look for in the future and how do we want Houston County to be. The strategic plan is a lot for operations, so this is the kind of operational strategic plan of how we conduct business and move forward and have certain plans and benchmarks that we want to see throughout the next 5 years, essentially. Just kind of going through the strategic plan, this first one is, an example of an executive summary. I can just read it for people out in the audience. Houston County faces increasing financial pressures driven by inflation, workforce challenges, aging infrastructure, technology demands, rising public service expectations. The strategic plan provides a framework to improve long-term financial stability, increase operational efficiency, modernize county services, and maintain high-quality public service delivery while protecting taxpayers. So that's kind of an example of what the executive summary is. Kind of moving through the outline, we talk about what is our mission? What is Houston County's mission? What is our vision and our core values for Houston County and also the employees and how we operate and serve the public? And then I have 5 strategic priority sections that include goals, objective, and key initiatives. So like strategic priority 1 could be, deal with like being financially secure, looking forward to the future and planning financial status. So, however, those things are yet to be determined on what we want priorities to be. And the best thing to do like strategic planning is have department heads involved, commissioners involved, and kind of have a strategic planning process. I would really like, if it is available to everybody, this next department head meeting on the 22nd, have it, all the commissioners there, and have a strategic planning process. And so part of what that strategic planning process would be we would have a bunch of different possible priorities of where we want to go moving forward to have in the strategic plan. And then we have kind of like break out in groups and have a session to identify those priorities and kind of come to an agreement on what those priorities look like and how we want to move that forward. We could possibly have two separate ones with department heads and then one with commissioners, but it's always kind of good to have commissioners with department heads working together to figure out what the priorities are for Houston County. I do have kind of a priority session thought process, and I kind of explained it with Allison, where we break into groups. And then within that groups, we identify some possible priorities, and then that group, individual groups, rank those priorities and kind of choose what that group's priorities are. And then once we figure out all of that, there's a process to it where we start kind of eliminating what the priorities are and kind of focusing on what everybody's consensuses are. So that is kind of my plan and what I would like to accomplish with this strategic plan. Prior to that, all department heads and commissioners would get kind of a poll on, there'd be some questions involved to help identify what some priorities should be that we should focus on in this strategic planning process. So moving forward now, timeline, how I'd like to have it is send out all commissioners and department heads, see what their thought processes are on like what priorities should be talked about, come together as an entire group and go over those priorities and then put those in ranking of what is our strategic priority 1, what is our strategic priority 2, and then if you turn to the second page, there's a implementation timeline of 1 year, 2 to 3 years, 4 to 5 years. So I know that was kind of a lot as what the strategic plan would look like. And I just kind of wanted to get feedback of timeline, thought process from commissioners as what they would like to see else with a strategic plan. So with that, I will open that up for you.
Well, I do this for a living, basically, with a lot of groups and boards, strategic plan, so I think you have a great outline here. And I'm very much, for this. I know other counties have done this, and we can certainly take a look at their outlines. The key is definitely to get input beforehand, so we don't come together and, waste our time and start going over some of these things. I like to see from departments, what their thoughts are as far as, their own area in planning and goals, and then how that rolls into the county's plan. That I would say, when this is written like the strategic priority 1, it isn't necessarily, in my mind, the top priority. These are all priorities, basically, and that I would look at, like the top, what are the 5 things that we want to accomplish? One of them is probably financial, one of them is probably operational, one of them's, however that works out, but they all have equal importance. So it's not like, this is our top priority, we have to accomplish that. That's my one thought on how this might be a bit easier, because there's all types of things that need to come to the top.
Sure.
So, but otherwise, I totally agree. I think you need a way of measuring it, and then monitoring your process or progress and how you're moving to achieve the goals. And then also a reasonable timeline. I'm wondering, I don't know if this month, if that gives enough time. I think we need like a beginning session maybe, and then a next session the next month, because you can't accomplish it all in one session.
Sure. Yeah, and this first one was kind of just to start that process. I do think that, kind of looking at the timeline, the 22nd is kind of fast coming on that. Is that something that the commissioners would have appetite for, to have a first session and a second session on those department head dates where you can kind of go through and have those conversations?
So is that something that you think it's important as a full board to be in on the initial conversations? I'm just asking.
Yeah.
I would say it should be.
Okay.
Because.
Yeah, because that really, it's one of those things of, you know, this is a kind of a group participation effort. I mean, there could be the first one with a specific, like a department head one that could maybe not involve the full board, that
Just in planning more
yep,
so.
the department heads kind of have their own internal kind of strategic plan.
Well, that's what I mean, if they had an idea already in mind that when we come to this meeting, we're not.
Yeah.
Another meeting.
Starting from scratch. We're-
Sure.
Yeah.
I could see that being an 8-hour meeting.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I'm getting.
that's what I said. It's
I
gonna
think
have
if
to be
it goes
broken
to
down.
each department,
Yeah.
allow them to have some time to put their strategic plan down, bring it together, collaborate it, and then have the board show up and we go over it all together, make suggestions for changes and move forward from there.
If this is focused right, you know, there will be different layers, like this is the board's duties, this is our goals, this is the department head's goals, this is staff, you know, that can all come together. But I hope that we would operate, you know, from a board standpoint on what our baseline is from our departments and from what they want and what their goals are, and then push that up to us. So I think that's important, but it also works the other way. You know, that we have to have some, as a county board, we need to have like our top priorities, but you just need some time to work this through. So I agree, you know, with Kurt that it might be a good idea to vet this through first at the department level. And because they probably have not been through a strategic planning session before either.
I have with the city.
Yeah.
It was very beneficial.
And there'll be a couple of us board members at this month's session.
Yeah. Yep.
Am I on the docket for this?
You are, yeah, you are.
Yes.
I
You told me
switched
that.
to a
Yeah,
June.
it's a
I think I'm on
confusing one.
June.
Did
We
you
just-
switch?
Yeah, I did yours and now I think you're.
Yeah, I think mine's on for the 22nd.
1:30
30.
on the 22nd.
So it's,
Yeah, because I think you were this
You and I, right?
last month.
Cindy,
Oh, I'm with Cindy.
we swapped.
We swapped.
Oh, solid effort on your part.
Whatever works out.
Two qualified people will be there.
What do you guys think?
I think that was very dark humor, what you just said.
Yeah.
Not about that. What do you think
That was very dark.
about this?
I think it's a good idea. I think it's something we need to have a discussion about and get it out there, what our priorities are and what it's gonna look like in the future as far as financial obligations, operational obligations and procedures, and, you know, we're kind of looking at that with the central finance department and creating, you know, efficiencies where we can find them, so.
You know, operational efficiency, you know, very well could be a strategic priority. you know, and so there's-
Right.
I think it'd be great.
But like again, and I think we're all in agreements that this is, you know, good to have, and it just really helps even future commissioners say, okay, this is the direction that Houston County's been going. These are the previous commissioners and future commissioners kind of guidebook to how to operate, move forward.
I think it falls in really well in line with our strategic land use plan. And you have goals and opportunities and goals with that, and to set a strategic plan as a whole in a vision coming from not just 5 board members, but certainly from department heads and people that work here some for 40-some years. It's
Well,
very
and that's
valuable to all
another
of us.
priority too, is workforce, you know, challenges that we have, because we have a lot of people retiring, you know, that have got we're losing a lot of experience, and so.
For sure.
Or backfilling positions,
Right.
you know, recruiting for the future.
Yeah, for sure.
We just talked about that this morning.
Yep, exactly. So what I like about it is it gives you kind of a base or an outline for how the decisions that you make fit into that, just like our land use plan.
Yep.
You know, that's basically what that is. It's like, why are you making this decision? Well, according to our strategic plan or our goals, this is what we want to do.
For sure.
It just helps as a guide for that. So it's, you know, it's like, you also just don't do it and it's done. It's kind of a living document that can change. So that's why the implementation timeline still needs to be reasonable and lined out. And that's where I think the department heads and staff come in too, because those are the experts. I mean, the board can't say, here's your strategic plan.
Yeah, no.
That doesn't work that way.
So what I have here and kind of like shifting my kind of plan is this next department head meeting, we'll kind of just do a department head strategic planning session. And then after that, we'll follow that up and bring the board into that for that strategic planning process as well. So we can, I'll figure out that,
The full board, you mean?
the full board, yep. And we will have essentially a couple different ones. One was just with department heads with the couple of commissioners that are gonna be there, and then one with the full board.
How about our next our next planning workshop meeting
And
next
that-
month?
that very well
We
could
can
work.
have a recap.
Yeah.
That'd give it a couple weeks, right?
Yep.
3 weeks or so after.
Yeah. That should be plenty of time.
Thank you for bringing that forward.
Yep.
How about item 3? Are you ready to discuss the?
Yeah, item 3 is kind of more of a show and tell, more than anything. I think if
Okay.
Allison wants to bring that up. This is not ours, by the way.
Ooh, it's tiny.
So Jessica Siebert, who works for AMC, puts on a lot of like the trainings, and you probably know who she is if you're working with AMC. She was the the county administrator for Aitkin County. And we were talking about capital improvement plans and then also financial planning and trying to figure out how counties can best predict future needs. There we go. So we've been
We don't have to do too much.
kind of working through this, trying to talk to department heads, and the first one was really that's been working on this is Brian Pogodinsky, because he has, the most equipment, all of the road stuff, and this is just an example of how that they've operate. So what I want to put together is a document of all of our capital assets, some future projections as far as what equipment is going to be needed next year for the next 5 years out. So like one of these could be under Brian Pogodinsky's, our engineer, is bulldozer. And he's identified in 2027 that he's going to need to replace that bulldozer. And there's going to be a projection of what that cost is going to be. And so the goal for this is to have real-time, at the moment document that you as commissioners can look at when you are setting budgets of, not only are we setting a budget for this year, but knowing what is going to be coming next year and the following year. So if you're going through it and, every commissioner and staff's goal should be getting our budget levy as low as possible. Still understanding of what is coming in the future, I think, is also beneficial for you as commissioners to know. So when you're planning that process of how are we going to pay for things over the next few years, we can take a look at that and have kind of a guidebook. Now, with that being said, this thing is a living document. Those needs may fluctuate. We may be able to push some of those needs back. Some of those needs, like this fake bulldozer, it could completely go sideways and needs to get pushed in the future. But at the moment, that will kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at and what the financial impacts we're going to see in the future. And that very well could be not only just our capital assets, but projects, IT upgrades that, you know, the total cost of that project could very well be, you know, substantial.
Would,
Oh, go ahead.
would wages be in that too? That'd be a separate category.
We could, yeah, I mean, we could definitely calculate those wages. Wages are kind of hard because the, cost of living adjustments that are negotiated,
No, we don't call them that no more.
or whatever the word you use for
What do
them.
you wanna call them now?
Wage grids or whatever.
But
The
we-
wage adjustments, I mean, but you can.
Wage adjustment.
Yeah, you could do like a projection, and some of these, like what Brian is doing with his, if there's a big ticket item that is gonna be needed in 2029, let's say, he's basically using just average inflationary cost to predict what that's gonna be. And we can also too, with this raw data one, if you wanna go all the way to the right-hand side, Allison. Identify,
Just to go back to the wages thing,
yeah,
that's something I don't know if you wanna have in there as projections.
good, yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is then when it comes to
Leading.
negotiations, say, well, you guys already planned on.
Yeah,
Oh, I see what you're
kind of
saying.
leading
Yeah, yeah.
Wages wasn't a part of this.
Okay, so I shouldn't have brought it
Yeah,
up then.
So, yeah, wages, this is just
There
our
you go,
capital.
Eric.
I thought you were getting that you would like to see it in there. I'm like,
Yeah,
it
well-
could be in there, but.
but, well, operational planning, though,
Yeah.
could be, you know, part of this too, financial planning, the operations, our costs of running
You
the
could
county.
put a operational planning projection in
Yeah,
and not put a hard number.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
part of that, it's labor,
Cause
you
you know,
know,
if wages are
resource.
$1.6 million, you could figure out strategically what the general consensus statewide is and never put a number on it.
staffing
You
is
just know
just
that,
one
yeah,
part of
you
that.
know that occupational, your structure is going to change based off of multiple factors, which would include wages.
Departmental budgets,
And we know that insurance is such an evolution that they really have us right there because they make changes and you can certainly go out and shop competitors, but at the end of the day, you don't have a lot of leverage. And that's the part that,
We did have a little leverage when we did an RFP and we actually got them to come down.
good.
right, and that helped, but I
But that-
mean.
and that's
in
part of
certain
planning.
cases-
That doesn't help, I know, it doesn't work, yeah.
But no, it
No, it's
worked
part
for
of
us.
planning,
and
yeah.
certainly We should be doing that. I mean, you should always be shopping for insurance. You know, at least every so many years, you should make sure that you're keeping people in line. But you know that it's going to go up.
Oh, yeah.
It's never gonna go down.
19% here, I mean,
And that's a killer,
some places it's more than that. so
right?
Sure.
I think this is a great idea, you know, not just for capital, because that's a, you know, it's good to know. Also, you know, not just when we annually look at our budget, but to just see it all year round.
Yeah.
And have a financial report, you know, because not just what we're putting out there.
I like that projection.
Yeah.
Simply because if Brian says, okay, our, road trucks, plow trucks, they're on this rotation and this Brian says my squad cars are this rotation. It's not like, oh crap, now we gotta do 3 squad cars. No, you
You know
we knew
about
this
it.
was coming. So I like that idea.
And also just to be, you know, fiscally responsible for planning, for projections, for any investments, some of these things.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's a great idea to have it in perspective.
Yeah. And so kind of bring it back to this is kind of the raw data section of it. The funding source, so we're gonna wanna identify what that funding source is, because not all of it's gonna be levy. Some of it could be utilized out of fund balance, so, you know, identifying where those fund balances are gonna come from and, or how that's gonna be paid for, I think is gonna be very good for you to know, moving forward as well, because you could, you know, there could be a possibility, it's not gonna be always levy driven, but planning on, okay, we're not gonna use this fund balance because this big equipment item next year is gonna utilize that fund balance, so taking fund balance the previous year might not be a good idea.
I think it also goes hand in hand with our strategic planning.
That's it. And this is very kind of part of a strategic plan, but kind of a spoiler alert, this will be part of our strategic planning. So I just wanted to kind of touch base on what this is gonna look like. And again, another 5-year plan for that financial planning and equipment replacements.
It's also good for our transparency,
Yes.
to see what we have and what we're thinking about. Also, what county expenses may be, the projection for that. That's good. Good.
All right.
Talk.
We'll get our own
Next one.
spreadsheets, yeah, with that. It's kind of adding on to what we're currently doing, probably,
Yeah.
too. Okay, want to move on to the board procedures discussion?
Yep, discuss board procedures. A while back ago, we kind of did discuss this, or was brought up about you as Board of Commissioners don't really have operating rules or guidelines as far as like it written down anywhere, as far as like how the agenda is made, what's the timelines, the advisory committees, how just the meeting is ran, how it's structured. And this is not a new thing. I'd probably safe to say the majority of counties do have something like this. And this kind of was brought up at the District 9 AMC meeting that we attended in Casson. They did start talking about Board of Commissioners, operating procedures, rules and guidelines. And there was a show of hands on who has them and who doesn't. And I didn't take total, but it was overwhelmingly the entire room that had them. So
Yeah.
I did want to bring this back as far as something that I would recommend you want to start looking at having in place. And also too, it helps not only you as commissioners kind of navigate how things work and kind of just a base set of norms, but it does really also help us as staff navigate things too, because we now have a direction and a piece of paper saying, how do things get added onto the agenda? Where, how does the agenda get put in place? And again, this is not only for you as commissioners now, but Houston County moving forward. So I do think that I would strongly urge you to want to consider looking at having some sort of thing like this. I did have 2 examples that I gave you. These were 2 examples that AMC thought were really good examples that sent to me. This is Nobles County and Scott County. There are some counties that have a lot thicker, more in depth, but these are very kind of boilerplate, almost for lack of a better word, a lot of them. From what the county board organization is to county board meetings, closed meetings. I mean, we all know what closed meetings are and how they operate, but actually have a document of what they are, how we go in them, why we would go in them. And so everybody's kind of on the same page. And then also to the roles of, what is the role of the board chair, the vice chair? What is my role in this as navigating this? So that's just a document that is approved and everybody's kind of on board. So that was my next topic. And if you have thoughts, objections, if you would like to see specific things in that, not in that, I'd kind of lead you to open up for discussion.
As far as in what?
For if Houston County, if you had operating rules and guidelines, would there be anything you would like to see in it?
How about we allow us to read these, write some examples down, and then we can talk about it again.
Perfect.
It's pretty hard to add things or.
I think what you're getting at, Brent, is this something that we want to?
Yes.
I think it is. I think,
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, it
there's
gets
no
something,
question.
then everybody's on the same page and
Always.
operate under the same rules, because it has come up in the past on how things get on the agenda and who can put things on the agenda and who cannot, or who can take it out or whatever, so.
It's a great
I think it's a good
idea.
idea to have that.
No different than our personnel policies and some things that we need in place, you know, it's a guideline for us to follow, but also it's not just for us internally, once again, it's for the public to understand how we operate. You know, most of my questions are always, how do you do this? When will this come up? How do we work? When people come to our public meetings, you know, they need to know what's happening or to come to public meetings or how they're notified. So I think it's a very big external communication piece that we need to incorporate as well.
And a part of it came up too, we had conversations about public hearings. I mean, public hearings for an ordinance, do they happen on that meeting or do they happen in the meeting before? And there's sometimes there's some confusion and it's not really, consistent sometimes. And so this is kind of just something that helps us be a little bit more consistent.
So of these two, Brent,
Yeah.
you've had a chance to review them all?
I have, yep.
And what is your opinion?
I,
Just
Yeah.
top of your head, what do you think, which one would be more desirable for Houston County?
I like both of them.
I do too. I like aspects
them.
of both. If I were to just draft something to give to you, I would take aspects of each of them and merge them
Okay.
together. So there are things that I do like out of both of them
After it's reviewed by Sue.
after it's
She has to give her
She
blessing.
can yeah. She can talk
Just want
about
to
it.
keep you in the loop.
Well, yeah, keep us honest. So, the other thing, though, I wanted to bring up when you were talking about that from District 9, I think we kind of mentioned this last week, too, is it's interesting how many counties operate differently.
Yes.
Also with public input. That was mind-bending to me, that people don't have
That was funny. I thought.
public
comment,
input.
you mean?
Yeah, public comment, or they might
That
get
was just one
input,
county
but.
that we knew of.
I know, but it was like, how do you operate when you
I don't know
can't?
how they get away with it.
That county shall remain nameless, but they don't record their meetings. They don't have public comment.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I
the-
think
The
about.
most important part of our job is representing the people in our districts and Houston County, and to not be able to say, you don't get to come here and talk.
Yeah.
Is ridiculous.
Just make our decision in a cave, yeah, and it's
And I'd
not
have
gonna
said that whether
happen.
you guys were here or not, because it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
just like, I was so blown away when you said that. I'm like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? It's like, they don't
I
get to
know.
say nothing.
I know. So anyway, so that's just part of this. I think it opens it up to how we actually,
Yep.
how our process works and how we do and what guidelines we use. Because it answers a lot of questions for people and also keeps us very consistent on doing it,
Yeah.
following that process.
So some of the things that I would like to kind of homework, for lack of better words, is, take a look at this. If there's things you like, I want this in there, and, things you like about them and things you don't like about them, and how you think that these sort of documents can be tailored to help you navigate board procedures. That's, just kind of take note of that, let me know, and we can talk about it too, and kind of plan on having this at our next work session as well. And if you want to bring some of those things back, we can kind of talk through that and then have another discussion on what you would like to have in them.
Perfect.
Scott County's
Good? Okay.
Scott County's pretty big.
Scott County is big.
They got a deputy county administrator.
They do.
They have lots of
And
stuff.
I was surprised too. The unnamed county that we were talking about isn't a very small county either.
No, it's not.
So I was really
Oh, my gosh.
like,
I mean, I don't.
But Larry's running it. He's got to get on it.
yeah.
I wouldn't want to live in a county like that, let's put it that way. Anything else on that?
No, that's all that I have.
I'll read it, and review it, and look at it.
Yep.
and Go from there.
They're about the same. I think one was 20 pages and the other one's 24 pages long, so they have a lot of the same content, looks like, but just how it's approached is differently and laid out.
Yeah,
That might be nice
Yes.
to look
Yep.
at. As far as what do we include? But other items for discussion?
I do have one thing. Polly emailed me yesterday, wanted me to remind you about the County Board of Appeal and Equalization next Tuesday at 6 PM. So she wanted me to remind you of that. Those did go out on statements. It's on our county calendar on our website as well, so.
Here.
Yep, that would be here at 6 PM next Tuesday, so I did want to throw that out there real quick so you were aware of that.
Okay.
I have nothing.
Anything else from anybody? Anybody? Eric?
It was brought up in land use meeting this morning about, we have low potency applications for cannabis coming up. And there was a question of whether to put it on the consent agenda or like we do for alcohol, or whether to put it on action items, and Bob and I thought just put it on consent. So,
Well, there's not a lot of
I mean,
discussion
they
around it
got
probably, right?
their, yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
so
Okay.
just wanted to mention that.
Seems logical.
Sounds good.
I just wanted to point out that in operation rules and guidelines, those kind of things are identified in there and what goes on the consent
Oh,
agenda.
boy, we got
And
him
what goes on-
started. He's gonna refer to it in these guidelines. That's
Don't
good.
push it.
It's fine. What else? Anything else for our discussion? Is that it? Are we
Can't think of
done?
anything, I mean, just from our previous discussion with the, historic jail, I mean, I don't know if you guys had any more thoughts or comments on that, but,
I think we have some unanswered questions, but like I mentioned before, with that fund, I guess I just don't want to see us, having an expenditure for a hole in the roof or something. I mean, would we maintain the insurance? How are we going to do that? Those are the questions that you'd have to talk about, depending on how it would be leased.
For some reason, I think Bob Burns and Sam kind of was a little bit knee-deep in some of that.
Okay. And
I
so that
had
could be
several
outlined.
conversations
Remember
with
anything
Sam on
else
that.
on that?
Yeah, I had the same question you did, cause I wasn't sure how it ended, but yes, they were looking into it. And then I don't think it ever got reported back on that I remember.
Well, if I recall, discussions with Sam that there were some concerns on the fact that it was on the same property and.
Some liability.
Well, especially with
liability
like the
concern.
brewery idea and all that. I mean, that's
Right.
not.
Oh, yeah. I'm all for having it city or county offices and brewery. I'm gonna, for the record, please don't put that in the paper.
So,
I just
I
think,
think I might actually patent booze and snooze. I mean, this is a great idea.
sounds like a bad idea in a car.
It had nothing to do with the
I
car.
think what we
Sorry.
need, I think we should stress to keep it simple and keep it, I like the visitation center for the county as a, a display of a museum for the law enforcement and the history of the county as far as agriculture and how this structure was built and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, I think it.
becoming a city library, that's where it's gonna get complicated. And I think that's
I
where
don't
the
feel like
issues,
that's the best idea.
well, that's where we're gonna have issues with as far as liability and stuff goes,
I
so.
like the history of Houston County law enforcement and the men and women that serve this country from Houston County and backstories on them. I think it focuses on those two things, and I think it's a great idea.
It's also probably more doable with the Historical Society running that aspect of it, because if it's a similar use.
Yep.
Rather than turn it into something that they really don't have experience in, like running a library.
And do they wanna sublease it for other events, you know, that,
Well, they could have a room, you know, or
right, a
something.
meeting room, that's
Yep.
fine, yep.
That doesn't bother me.
Yeah, but that's occasional use, more or less, but my thought was, when they're asking specifically about the $571,000, I want to make sure that the county isn't going to have to supplement something in addition to that, you know, if
But
we
that's,
release
I
that.
stated that,
Yeah.
not use tax levy dollars to,
Right. So,
if we could use that money to help match some grants or
Yep.
fix the roof.
I think it's in the best interest of the entire county to make sure that it's already been damaged once with the water problem and should have a solid roof on it so it doesn't damage it again,
oh yeah, I mean, anything that's going to start falling apart,
right?
you know, that's not going to be a
And
good
using it is
purpose.
important in my opinion.
Also, once they get it operational or there's something inside, they want to make sure that has a good roof and it's going to be maintained to withstand.
Perfect.
It'd be great if it was used for something though, seriously, rather than sitting empty.
Right.
It's a lovely monument and structure, but it's, you know, it'd be great if it was used, so. More to come. Okay, I don't have anything. I think we're done.
Thank you.
Thank you.